Good morning, SDA juniors. Hope you guys have had a great week so far, and I'm sure everyone is looking forward to the weekend. So today we're just going to have a quick recap on what we did last week. The questions that we have for today is what methods and how can we use them, so the methods to evaluate your training. Why do we need to monitor and evaluate training? And then how can we use the information gathered to respond and adapt our training? And at the end, we just got to see what is required for you guys to do for next week. So just a quick recap. Remember last week we spoke about what are the principles of training. So remember we spoke about specificity. Is it the program and the exercises within the program specific to the sport? Okay. Individualization, so is the program based on the individual of the sport? Progressive overload, does it get more difficult? Does your program get more difficult over time? Frequency, how often are we training? On a daily basis, on a monthly basis, weekly or yearly? We're talking about reversibility. So remember, when we stop training, we go into a detraining state, and then we need to be able to reverse that, okay? And then of course we have our recovery. Now, why is each principle important? We need to ensure that it all correlates with the sport, the program, and the athlete, okay? The principles are what make up training, okay? Principles are the purpose of the training. What can we apply, how can we apply them to our training program? So these principles need to be used as guidelines in order for the coach to produce an effective plan, okay? So without these training principles, we cannot create a program or an effective program. So for today, what and how can we use these methods to monitor and evaluate your training, okay? So we've got testing protocols. So remember, we do a bunch of tests to see whether or not the athletes improve, okay? So we're evaluating their training based on the testing results that they get. And we can monitor whether or not they have improved or if they haven't improved whatsoever. Then we've got a bunch of different monitoring systems. So one is called the rate of perceived exertion. This is what you see here in this picture. So this is on a scale. There's two different scales, but if you look at this one, just to make it a little bit easier, we look at 0 and 10. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult was your workout? Okay. Then we got to look at your heart rate. Remember, your heart rate can resemble how you are responding to certain parts of your training. Velocity-based training. Okay, so velocity-based training is speed. Remember, we talk about velocity and speed. Okay, so how quickly the movements are being produced. Normally, if you're producing a movement really quickly, that means you're quite fresh as an athlete. Okay, if you feel like you're slowing down and you're not getting as much effort in, that means your body is tired. Okay, times, if you're doing speed work, okay, are your times getting slower? If they're getting slower, then you are fatigued. Okay, so we're going to monitor that. Then a lot of the time we have some questionnaires, which is all about how the athlete feels. Okay, and it's all to do with your athlete wellness. Okay, so we've got why do we need to monitor and evaluate our training. So we need to give feedback. Okay, so it gives feedback to the coaches to how the athletes are coping with the program. Be able to know whether or not the athletes are progressing. Okay, and of course we want to maintain a healthy athlete. So if you look at the questionnaire over here, okay, this is just one that we could use. We always ask our athletes, how did you sleep? Okay, if you slept really well or if you slept terribly. Remember, sleep will determine how well you recover and how you perform. Okay, so sleep is extremely important. Okay, stress. Did you have a good day at school or did you have a bad day at school? Do you have a lot of homework? All this will affect the way that you train or how you feel during training. Fatigue. How does the body feel? Do you feel like you have very, very high fatigue or low fatigue? are you tired in the sense that your body feels very lazy? Okay, if it doesn't feel lazy, then you'll be down here. Okay, that means that's a good thing. You're good to go. You're ready to train. If you're up here, then we need to re-evaluate our training. Muscle soreness. Are your muscles really sore from training from the previous day or the previous month or the previous week? Okay, we need to understand that if you've got a low muscle soreness, that's good. You're ready to train. Your muscles will perform a lot higher. If you've got a very high muscle soreness, then the athlete needs to try and recover. Okay, because last thing we need to do is we do not want to cause any sort of injury. So this is one way how we monitor. This is a monitoring system that we base off of our athletes and how we can evaluate our athletes. How can we use the information gathered to respond and adapt our training? So again, it's all about altering your programs. If the athletes are responding really, really well, okay, maybe it's perfect. Maybe the program is at a perfect level. But remember, if the athlete is having a bad day, they didn't sleep well, they've got exams, okay, we need to try and make it easier, okay, because the athlete will not be able to perform at their best level. If they're feeling overly fresh, like they haven't trained in a week, they feel like they're good to go, then we can make it a bit more difficult. Okay, so we can always have a look at certain athletes and we can see whether or not we can have them focus on different aspects of the program, if they are weaker or if they are better in certain aspects of the training. Remember, we said we want to look at the athlete wellness. Okay, we have to ensure that our athletes stay healthy and injury-free, because if they stay healthy and injury-free, that means we can train more. If we can train more, then we can improve more within our sport. Okay, and it gives us an idea of whether we need to rest our athletes based on our information gathered, or we need to rest them or train them more. So we come to an understanding as how we can progress with our training based on the information that we've got. So for next week, what I want you guys to do is just do the practical session that I have provided, and I want you to start developing your own bodyweight program, okay, based on your sport, and then using the past PowerPoints and videos that we've used. Have a great weekend, guys.